Right, back for another week. The New Zealand show proudly brought to you by Haras to Trotteurs, NZB, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbreds, and Woodlands Stud, as well as... That's last season's, thank goodness for that. I thought you were teasing me just then. As well as IRT for Nigel, because Nigel's becoming more than just a regular on Campbell's comments. He's even running off and doing his own interviews, and we'll touch on those in a minute. Plus, what hat have we got on tonight, mate? What hat are we wearing?
This is Diamond Racing Stable, so that's Johnny and Jenna down there at the Woodend Beach, and Robert.
Very good. You show the catalogues there. Mine actually hold one of my computers up off the ground. Don't tell James or any of those guys that they won't like that. But talking to Cam today, I think they're going to be in the mail early next week, I believe, the catalogues. So all going well. So there was a little bit of a drama last year, I remember, and that's what Cam's hoping. Hopefully I can get mine. He's hoping I'll have mine by middle of next week. So anyone in Australia watching this show wants to get the catalogues, get in touch with me, and we'll be distributing them as quick as we can. Mate, end of Cup week. Huge week over there. Addington put on an amazing show. Firstly, how did you handle the week?
Yeah, it was a big week. Shame there was not a great lot of atmosphere there, but the racing was just unbelievable. It was just really good. Just one of those weeks where, you know, the true genius of Mark Peirson and Hayden Cullen, you know, he's the master of getting a horse ready for a race, and obviously cleaned up on Cup Day. And yeah, it was a really good meeting.
Left a couple of the bigger races though for other people, which was good. I mean, it's always good. We have the tall poppy syndrome over here with the Stewart and Tonkin camp. I'm sure there's a little bit of it over there, but they didn't win everything, and they didn't win all the big races. No,
but yeah, that's true. I mean, you can't win everything, I suppose, but they certainly, as I say, he's geniuses at taking out their races on Cup. They come to the big stakes money, they're involved, and that's good.
It is self-assured. There might be a bit of a head scratcher a little bit with him by the sounds, a bit of the feedback. They're not 100% sure where he's at.
Yeah, I don't know whether he just knocks off what his go is, to be fair. You know, he seems to get to the front. He got past South Winarden on the Friday, and then South Winarden headed him again. So whether one flowed up and the other one went past, I'm not sure what the go is. You're right.
He was awesome. We might actually start on that race, South Coast Arden for John Stiven. He was all keen on Cup Day to have. Yeah, now Johnny, we've got to have a word about this hat that Nigel has on there too. I don't seem to have one of those. I'm expecting one shortly in the press. So hang on, what are we doing here? Why are we masking up? Is that
have you not got one of his masks?
He's got his own masks and his hat, and I got nothing. John, when you're watching this, just remember these things. I must say, you belong over here. You do look like a bank robber with that on, I must say, mate. So don't you worry one bit. He was good though, South Coast Arden, because he ended up winning, you know, comfortably enough on the line when, with 100 to go, he looked like he was in a whole world of hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He sort of like kicked again. So as I say, I'm not really sure whether he kicked again or was self-assured. Didn't pick it to finish. I don't know, but he's truly a colossus of a horse. He's a giant, that South Winarden, and man, you know, they keep working on him. He's going to become the complete racehorse. I think if they can just calm him down a wee bit, probably the go, make him more of a racehorse.
Do you know if they're going to travel with him? Has there been any talk about travel?
I don't know, to be fair, but have horse will travel as long as they can get back out. It's the major problem.
Well, they've got a good group of owners, the Cannards, Brecken Farms. They've got plenty of people there. Yep, I've got it. I have to look everywhere, but I do have the Brecken Farms. Got to keep them all happy. I don't know how many hats we're meant to wear in this show. If you and I had a hat off, it'd be pretty funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'd give you a run for your money, I reckon.
That's all good. It was a good mile rate. I thought Krug was good, backing up, short little back up. You know, it's going to be hard for him this year, taking on the real big boys consistently. There's going to be no easy races for him, but I thought he was still okay.
Oh, absolutely. And as you say, it's like a step up here, isn't it? You leave the 3-year-old, but I think he's still true. Jump into the open class stuff. I mean, he's won that much that he's probably high enough rated now that there isn't much for him other than open class goes, which is. And I think you've got to sort of learn again, those older, tougher horses, it's a different racing style, whereas Kruger can get out and dominate on the, on the own age group, but different against the older horses.
But he's going to be exciting. You listen to, and I'm sure you do as well, Mark Purden's All the Good Horsemen. 4-year-old year is one of the toughest years for some of these horses, and effectively he's already started that. If we went back to the old racing system, he'd be a 4-year-old now, and people would be singing his praises. But he'll be fine. I reckon he'll excite the Grand Circuit racing once he really starts putting his toe into it. He's going to be a lot of fun, that horse, I think. So another son of Bettor's Delight. Did I mention that? Don't know if I did. I just got to get the chest up because I haven't got the shirt on in quite the right spot. Nigel gets lost out here, my good friends at Woodlands. Now, I did an interview, I don't know if you actually saw it, with Regan Todd during the week, and he was quite comfortable driving the car and all the rest, but he was looking forward to the week and how much it means to him. Great to see he win a race on the big stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the $40,000 go, which is on show day. He did have a big night with the Dunn boys and the Beach boys. Yeah, I think he went missing on Saturday night. I don't think they've found him yet. He had that big a night after his win.
How did he walk off swinging hands with anyone, or did he just go missing?
No, he went missing. He went down to the Yelters Tavern, which is Dave McHugh, which is a good Southland boy, that is a local pub. So I think the boys ended up there, and I think at the end of the night they couldn't find him. I don't know. Good luck.
Good luck to him. Young Cam Bray wants me to start playing matchmakers with him, and I think he might have worded him up that I might have been going to give him a hard time on the show, but I didn't. I left him alone. He was selling, but I think well done to him. It was good. It's good for that's what I mean with a few of these trainers. A lot of us Australians don't know, and I want to get some more people on there. But like Regan to come on last week, but they have 7 horses racing on Cup Day and then get a winner on Show Day. I think that's really key actually for the development of the industry for you guys over there.
Yeah, and he's absolutely a top guy. Regan Todd, he's just one of those. He's a true fair dinkum Southlander. He's there's a great group of guys down there, and he's certainly one of them.
He's very active too at the sales for NZB. Better put that one back on, and the likes too, which is he's very keen on growing his product, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's, as I say, he's out at the beach with Johnny and a few others and Matt Peirson and the guys there, and they're getting results, and that's the main thing, isn't it? The owners will keep going back.
Now, I asked you for a favour, and you've come up trumps in the biggest possible way. I asked you just to maybe do a couple of interviews with you, because I actually spent the weekend with my daughter, so I had no hope of being able to do anything remotely over the weekend, and we're going to get more of these. I'm going to throw the challenge at you to do more of them. But you caught up with John Dunn. Actually, I might actually throw, before we go to John, I actually might throw, because this race meant a fair bit to Colin Hair afterwards. I think it's great, some of the little things that he done the next, I presume this was Sunday, was it, or Saturday that you went there?
Saturday. I went my Saturday morning. Saturday. Yep.
Yeah, so this was the next day. I gather he'd had a few sherbets the night before.
I'm not really sure. I would say so. He wasn't a big celebrator with the Duns, I don't think, because they carried on all night and all morning.
Well, we'll throw to Colin's interview, but one thing I reckon you've got to really listen to is the love he has of the horses, because he went and saw the mother first, and then I reckon you would have had trouble even after you finished the interview walking away from him, Sundees Son, afterwards. He just got a great love of the horse, hasn't he?
Absolutely, and that's what harness racing is about, is the emotion, and if you can capture that, you've got Golden in the interview, and he is very emotional with his horses, he loves them so much, and Nancy's the same. I think both Nancy and him were, as I say, they were crying after the race, and so they should. I mean, it was just one of those events,
Yep, absolutely. I'll throw to that interview now.
Good boy. Good boy. Well, here with Colin here. We haven't got Nancy here. She's recuperating.
Still recuperating.
What a fantastic run yesterday. Unbelievable. It was just, it's been the highlight for me for Cup Week, and I think it's the highlight that I won't forget for a lot of years. It was just one of those races, Colin.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable, and sitting up there in the stand and watching it, you were just in disbelief really, because he just kept on rolling.
So you've got the first thing this morning. What was your plan? Where did you go? What horse did you go visiting?
This morning I went out and visited his mother and gave her an apple, but she wasn't into any discussions or anything. All she wanted to do was to be fed and eat her apple. She always has been a bit cranky, and this morning was no different.
So the plans going forward with Sunny, is there any racing for her or not?
No, there isn't actually anything for him. We'll probably sit down with John and Robert and just actually plan what to do with him. Yeah, he'll certainly have a bit of time off now, but there's no real plan. The Great Southern Star in Australia may be a thought in March, but that will be very dependent upon Craig being able to go over, John being able to drive, and the horse to race in the dun colours. He's got to race in Robert's colours, otherwise he won't be going.
Jeez. Well, a bit of background of this horse, obviously. It raced as a 2-year-old. I remember backing it at the Jewels and crying all my way home. Been around a while, hasn't he?
Yes, he has, but he's only been sort of lightly raced. He raced as a 2-year-old. He won his first 2 starts, and then he won 2 races as a 3-year-old. But he won. He actually did have a tremendous run on Cup Day as a 3-year-old. Started there, broke, and lost a tremendous amount of ground, and then ran home well. And I remember a number of people saying it was actually the performance of the day on Cup Day. And he was raced as a 4-year-old, and then we turned him out for a period when he just to try and work out what was actually wrong with him or what was causing his problems. So I think he's had about 58 starts now, which for a 6-year-old or 7-year-old really in the old terminology isn't a lot of races.
Yeah. So going back to yesterday's race, what were you thinking? Reasonably good start. Wasn't pinged out to the leader or anything. Just took his time, moseyed up. What were you thinking when you're looking at the time when he called you? Just a tick over. I mean, from a standing start, you were just tick over 2 minutes for the first mile. I mean, that's incredible.
It is. It absolutely is incredible. And to think that you did, as you say, you did that time from a stand. When the old basis used to the old 2-minute pins that everybody talks about, and they're from a mobile, and that was used to be the base achievement for a pacer or a trotter. A trotter in particular was 2 minutes, but that was from a mobile, not a stand. And I think he had another. That was only he was only halfway through the race, and certainly the driver, knowing that he still had to go for another mile. It is unbelievable.
I was watching the K's per hour sign. This is generally what I watch when I'm sitting there at Addington, which is a fantastic feature, and we were going like 51s and 50s, and I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. You've done the first mile in 2 minutes, and you're going at, it's not the highest speed you can go. I think they go up to about 55, 56 flat out, but that's incredible. I mean, there was just no let up.
No, he's a horse that does seem to be able to just roll, doesn't he? And do a bit of work, and he normally gets John normally gives him a bit of a breather, but he never actually had a breather. He just kept on rolling, didn't he? On that. No,
obviously Majestic Man sort of served it up at the start, and then Muscle Mountain came round, and then Matadorus down the straight. I thought, hey, Matadorus was in the Westview colours, but unfortunately I was yelling for Sunny. I mean, what a jeez. Were you worried at any stage when it pulled out at the straight or not?
I was a bit concerned about Matadorus. I did say that to Nancy. Matadorus, and I was a bit concerned about that. But I was certainly yelling for him.
Yeah, and the other feature of the race was, of course, the 4th Dominion go for Woodstone. I mean, what an incredible horse that is.
Yes, and yes, he has. He's done a great job for us, old Woody. He the four Dominions aren't really his go, but actually getting into the Dominions is a tremendous tremendous achievement. With this fellow's uncle, the full brother to his mother, Uncas, he was E1 in 3 Dominions. So that's how hard it actually is to get into the race. And it was always an ambition to actually get into the race, and that's a hanging of achievement. And as you say, Woody got in. He started in it 4 times, so that's a great achievement.
Well, congratulations, Colin. It's been a fantastic Cup week, I know, for you, and so exciting. And I mean, the dedication, the time you put into this industry, and breeding and owning horses, you thoroughly deserve every success you get. Congratulations.
Thank you. Nigel, just one small thing I'd just like to mention. I'd just like to appreciate the support that actually came from the crowd, such as it was at Addington yesterday. They were all clapping. I could hear them clapping as Nancy and I walked down to the birdcage. That was a tremendous feeling for us too.
Yeah,
so
well,
it was very, very much appreciated.
Yeah, and I think the crowd, they do appreciate true champions, and I've no doubt in my mind and many others that this is a true champion. Thank you very much, Colin.
Thank you.
And what you said there before, just as I threw to the interview, a couple of things. One thing I really picked out about that, he's going to come to Australia, but he's only going to come to Australia if he can race in his own colours. What was that about? Did he get told one other time when there was a driver driving in different colours, were there?
No, yeah, he wants to be in the Robert Dunn colours, so the colours that he's wearing now. It's not his ones, the trainer's colours. So he basically doesn't want to send it over with anyone else other than the Dunn. He's like loyal 100%. So.
No, yeah. I actually interpreted that part a little bit wrong, because I was thinking he must have at some point of time got like had the race without those colours. He's a beautiful horse, and you've caught up with John, and we'll throw to that in a minute, and I will let you go. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate you doing these interviews. Getting to see the owners is one thing, and a lot of people can do it, and I can do it the same way as what you and I are doing this. But to see the owner with the horse and understand the actual love he has with the horse, I think that's something that people miss. You've only done it on an iPhone. They're pretty simple to do, but it just showcases, I think, what these animals mean to so many participants, don't they?
Absolutely, and I think that's part of it. If you can show the bond between the horse, like we stood there for, I think the interview was 7 minutes there, and the horse just quietly stood beside him. It's like a pet. You think, this is a champion and race horse, and just loves him. The horse loves him. He loves the horse.
You said there in the interview, and it's actually one thing I wanted to touch off on with you, was they have at Addington, they have the speed in kilometres. Is that correct? Is that what you were?
Yeah, they have a thing called Stride Master, so that gives you, at the end of the race, you can look up a horse, and you can, like after the race, you can look at how long its stride is, how many strides it's taken, what its quarter was, what distance it travelled. Some horses, whether you were the fastest mile, you might have finished fifth, might have had the fastest last mile, but as the race is going on, up in the corner of the screen is basically a speedo. So you're sort of sitting there thinking, they're going down the back, they're only, well, not walking, they're doing 45, 46, but when they start sticking up to 50, 51, 52, and coming down the straight, they can hit 55, 56 is about as fast as they go. Yeah, and you know exactly what they're doing, and you think, slow up or speed up, and if you can keep bumping out those last quarters, and if you're humming along 52 or something like that, nothing's going to come from the back, because you just can't go 58.
No, definitely. I love it. Technology, something very different. Like you and I were just saying then, go out and interview Colin out in the paddock with an iPhone, but then the flip side of it is that's brilliant. We don't have anything like that that I know of. I mean, Queensland are starting to get there. You see some of the stuff that Queensland are doing on social media, but what you guys are doing there, I love that. Hats off to whoever's beyond that, whether it's Addington or Harness Racing New Zealand or everyone combined, I think well done, and hopefully someone in Australia watches this interview and says, let's get that up and going, because it's a way for people to understand once they start coming to the races, and it's a reason for getting people to a racetrack, but then once they start understanding those speeds, they can say, right, well, these leaders can't sustain this any longer because they've been going at 59, 60k an hour for 200, 300 metres, they're gone. They've got no chance of being able to continue it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that even more technology. I mean, we've got the technology to stick a heart rate monitor. I mean, out at the beach after we've run a horse, we put the heart rate monitor on them and see what they're going and see what their recovery rate's like and things like that. I mean, you know, you talk about the younger generation and boy racers and that. Well, what are they interested in? They're interested in the tachometer, and they're interested in the speed, and they're interested in the oil pressure. And if you could throw that all up on a screen, you know, and even do different horses, have their speed, have their heart rate, have their, I mean, you know, you'll get a whole new audience, I think, or a younger audience that, you know, don't know that, can't see it.
Yep, we've got to explain it to them in a different way. A horse like Matadeiros, when you're saying about that stride, that was one of the things, the development this horse has done, little bit of a pun there, but it wasn't really, since he's come over to New Zealand, he had feet troubles, the beach has definitely worked on him, working him on the grass, and now that his confidence is up, he just keeps seeming to get better. That stride master, be interested to see the first time he ever raced at Addington and what he did the other day, how much further he is actually trotting as his mojo gets up, if you like, because he's just kept taking it to another level, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And like when we talk about that, you look at, I think Johnny was having a look, I don't get all the details, he was looking at the stride that Sundees Son took and Muscle Mountain. So, I mean, Sundees Son is a very short striding horse. So he's more of an up and down trotter, whereas some of the other ones are a lot longer. And he's I think he's doing 600 millimetres less per stride than something like Muscle Mountain, which is it's a huge amount of distance. You know, each stride he's got to put in, I don't know, an extra one every 10 strides to keep up.
Yeah, but there's pluses and minuses in that, because I think, like, I can't remember, but Black Caviar and Winx, now they're two different distance horses and all of the rest. I think Winx took more strides per furlong than Black Caviar. No, actually it wasn't that. It was Black Caviar, sorry. When she went faster, her legs, she didn't hit the ground anymore. Her stride got quicker. Whereas Winx, when she got faster, her legs went faster. If that makes, it probably sounds a little bit double Dutch, but they're trying to work out what makes a champion horse. And they had these two horses, and when they actually quickened and went their fastest, one would stride further, the other one would move her legs further. It didn't make any difference to, at the end of the day, you'd love to have either horse in your backyard and all the rest. It was just one of those studies that they were trying to say, we think we've worked it out, because, you know, Black Caviar takes the same amount of strides but just puts her legs out further. That's why she goes faster. Whereas Winx actually puts them down more and covers the ground. But yeah, there's no rhyme and reason, but it's just great technology, and that's what it does. It gets a different audience, because you get your mathematicians and you get your people that look at the sport differently, that would really enjoy that side of things, I reckon. And you say about a horse like Sundees Son, taking that shorter stride but being able to go quicker, that would really, people that understand why he's such a nice horse.
Yeah, it'd be worth, actually, probably should interview worth having, is I'll find someone at Addington that can go through the stride master, because there's guys that sit there and analyse it, and it'd be interesting to go through a race like the Dominion or maybe the free for all with South Glenarden and compare them with a couple of the horses in there, and it is interesting to see, you know, who. So it's quite a lot of the times, you know, the winner wasn't the fastest last half mile, the last mile. It could be something that came from last and ran into third.
Yep.
So you sort of look for a decent draw next time, and you're all over it.
Doesn't always work. I actually watched the race with Karen Manning. I was over at Great Western, and you know, she had some great joys with the Trotting Cup, obviously, but we were watching Sundees Son and Matadeiros, and I said to her at the start of the race, I said, "Oh, this is Cookie's file." So of course she took a liking to it. I tell you, she would have been pretty happy if he had got up. She was cheering for him. You can tell John Dunn that he might have had the great Kerry Manning might have been against, because she has a real soft spot for Cookie. But he's just doing a great job. Mataderos, Yabby Dam Farms, or Haras the Trotters, great sponsors of mine. They bred him, and he just really seems to be enjoying the New Zealand racing and really starting to click with it, isn't he?
Yeah, I spoke to Johnny a bit about it, whether it's the straight line training that's doing it or just the softer sand on the beach. But as I say, when he first got here, he was pretty well a grass track. He wouldn't go to the Auckland way round, I don't think. That's why Robert sent him back down to Christchurch. And Johnny had him going on the grass track, and he said if there was a grass track dominion, he'd just clean up. He'd beat Sundees Son, but on the grit, he's not quite so sharp. But he's getting a lot better. He's going to be something to really contend with next year, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah. Just seeing the development in him and how he is going. And I think it was Jack McKinnon, who used to work for Anton, and Jamie, obviously being his dad, they said that the standing starts suit him better, and there's not as many standing starts here in Australia as well, so that got his confidence up again. But we all know, every person watching this show knows that when horses get their confidence up and their tail up, they're away, aren't they?
Yeah, probably even more so with trotters. A trotter in form, you just keep backing it.
Yep.
That's
They're having a good run also with Sounds of Cash, the horse that harassed the Trotters. They're not noted for breeding too many paces, but they're having a good run. Johnny's having a good run with her as well.
Yeah, I think that's a trotting bred pacer. I don't know how they.
It's by Ready Cash, yeah.
But it can certainly run. Yeah, they certainly like it. It was a really good run the other day. It was in the last race. I think it won pretty good. Very handy. You
could have told me that before. I've been scrolling through the computer to try and find one race at one, and I couldn't find it at all as I was going through. And you will be right. Yeah, there it is. There it wins the last race, and yeah, it's by Ready Cash. What mare is it out of? It's out of a Live or Die mare. So yeah, not a lot of Live or Dies actually did pace. I encourage everyone in New Zealand. I did an interview with Pat Driscoll. It's on Campbell's comments. It was a little while ago. Pat doesn't give a lot of interviews. He was pretty forthright. It was a bit of the stallion tax being introduced and where he thought about some of those things and the likes. But one of the pluses that he gave our jurisdictions, and I'm not one of these us against you guys or anything like that. I think the whole racing should be a lot smaller and we should be embracing it. Is that we have this ability to be able to do this. Put a trotting stallion over a pacing mare, and conversely pacing stallions over trotting mares, and just try to see what we've got, because I know Harassed Trotters, this horse here was a test to see if it could be a faster trotter. Obviously it's a pacer, but I know they won't be finished. They'll be still trying to breed a trotting stallion over that and to see if they can get a faster trotter. It's one of the great things we have here in Australasia, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they probably don't need to do that, because they got Sundees Son that went 2.2 seconds quicker than the Cup runners.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. I've held him off on purpose because we're going to throw to your interview with Johnny Dunn in a minute. But was there any you're in the stable and the rest? Was there any pre-planning, any exposed, I suppose, talk that John was going to do that, or is it just what happened at the time and what happened on the day?
Well, Johnny's got him that. And Craig Edmonds, of course. Craig Edmonds on the Wednesday said that he's got the horse as good as he could have it, basically. So he does the day-to-day running it down the beach, running Sundees Son down there, and he told Johnny on the Wednesday that he's got Sundees Son as good as he was last year, if not better. He's in the perfect condition. And Johnny's, he's got the horse so he can relax. He can be running along at speeds that are unbelievable. Like his first mile was, from a stand was 2 minutes, and he can be relaxed. He can sit parked and be relaxed. That's the beach. That's what they do. That's Johnny's way of training. Your horse is never on the bit. He's trying to make them relax when they're out there, running, and that's what he's about.
It's a big effort because he's by Majestic Sun and noted for being hot, noted for being a bit fiery, and then also out of a Sundees mare. Everyone knows how hot they are, but at the same time, it's just one of those crosses. I love my breeding. You get a trotting mare by Sundees, They just leave winner after winner, and they keep doing what this horse does, keep improving, keep getting better the older they get.
Yeah, and as I say, Johnny's the freak with. I mean, if you look at the statistics over here for Diamond Racing Stables, they win the most trots now. Johnny drives the most trotting winners, and I think Johnny's pretty underrated as far as driving trotters. I'd say he's the best in the country, bar none, at driving a trotter, and I think there's quite a few people agree with me.
Yep.
To be able to win with anything.
No. Who drove the second horse? Blair. I thought Blair did it.
Blair,
he goes.
Yeah, not a bad pinch.
He goes okay, doesn't he? I thought he did. No, I thought he did a very good job, because he can be a little bit funny, Mataderos, but he just kept him at the right speed, and he didn't even actually grab hold to let John go past. He made John sort of work past. I don't think it was being smart. I think it was keeping Mataderos in that comfort zone. That's what I took from. I just thought it was just exceptional the way that both drove those horses, and there was some good runs. There was a few head scratching runs in that race, but I think any of the head scratches. One of the big form guys over here, he put a tweet out and said, "How are some of the margins in this race?" And you've got to be aware that it's a length, not a metre. So, Mataderos got beat 1 length, so which is 4 metres at all the rest. And the last horse, Doff If You Cap, and I don't know if it galloped or not ever, but got beat 94 lengths, which you got to times that 4 times.
Yeah. Some of the. I mean, it was. I mean, there was. I think seven of the horses went under 4 minutes for the 2 mile, which is. It was either 6 or 7, which is unbelievable. It's just wickedly fast. And a couple of the horses in there just aren't suited to that. They're set sprinters, and I think they were driven. Hey, I'm not going to comment on other people's driving. Maybe a wee bit upside down. I think one of the biggest runs in the race was the horse that ran 4th for the Duns, which is Chief of Staff, and it broke twice at the start. And I don't know what time it went. It must have been unbelievable, because that gave them all a big head start, and they ended up 4th in the race.
Yep. But winners are grinners, mate. We don't worry about that, and go from there. We're going to throw to John Dunn's interview, and after John Dunn, I caught up with Martin Peirson. You've got to stay tuned. You can be random. I can be random. We're both, we've been random from time to time. Wait till you see Martin's shirt. It is very random. It beats you and me. I wouldn't wear it, and I reckon you'll be telling me you wouldn't wear it. But I like Martin. But he's got some pretty important news about your sire stakes program and all the rest. But I love him. He's such a passionate harness person. I think he's great.
Probably hanging around with Cran Dalgety too much with the out there shirt.
I can actually say I reckon Cran wouldn't wear it. that's how
truly hideous.
It's you said that, not me. Highlights. What else we got for the rest of the week? You got plenty of golf on. I know that, but what else you got going on?
I think there's about another 3 race meetings. I'm not sure where they are. I mean, it's like it's time to recovery mode, but I think there's a couple of 3 trotting meetings around the district, and I think over this weekend. So nothing at Addington though for a week, which is good.
Very good. All right, I'll let you go. We're going to throw to John Dunn's interview. Thank you very much, mate, for conducting these interviews. But hopefully we're going to keep trying to do a few different ones. Like I said, with Regan Todd, we're going to get as many people as we can, highlight who they are, promote them. It'll work in all ways, but from promoting people. New Zealand Bloodstock, they'll be keen for it as well, because they want to promote the people that go and buy at their sales, and it's getting to sales time. It's getting to a very, very busy time of the year for us all, mate. So we're all going to be very, very busy. They're in the mail. It'll have a 2-2. Oh, yeah. It'll have a Richie Beno on it. It'll be 2022. You guys might not know who Richie Beno is, because he played for Australia. I think you still remember the underarm, don't you?
Yeah, we certainly know that. We certainly remember that. And what was it, mini cricket they were playing this morning? That I can't even think what the game is, but we are world champions in the true form of the game, the 5-day test.
I can honestly say, I don't put my hand up, obviously the 2020, we won the 2020, did we?
I'm not sure. I don't know the results for that. I don't watch that game.
Right, Nigel, thank you very much for joining me. I'm taking that as a yes. I'm going to throw to a great interview with John Dunn, and then I'll be back with Martin Peirson straight after. But that's been a bit of a wrap. But thank you so much for everything you contribute, mate. I really appreciate it. You're not finished yet either. We're going to be catching up more and more times. But thank you very much for joining me on the New Zealand show, mate.
Any times I can find someone for you to interview, send me over. I've got nothing to do.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Campbell's Comments, New Zealand show, proud to be brought to you by Woodlands Stud, and we've got the Woodlands Stud on there. It's pretty good, and we've got the Dexter Dunn. I don't know what that's about. Actually, before we go any further, Dexter Dunn, he had an accident a couple of weeks ago. How's he getting on?
He's good. He had a bad spill last weekend, and he's back driving. He's Bellini. It was his first drive back. Been a great filly to him, and got the job done. So, and he's got Nikki Hill. This is probably after she races. This is produced, but she's racing on the weekend too. So he's got some lovely drives for the week, and yeah, he couldn't be happy to be back in the card anyway. He's a bit sore, but he's there.
And yesterday was a show day, which is the end of the carnival, Cup Week Carnival, and it's been a huge week for Diamond Racing Stables and the whole team.
Yeah, definitely, especially the team. Like, we've got great workers, and we raced a lot of horses, and even the helpers. We couldn't do it without the whole lot of them, really. So it was a big old week, and it was great to get the big one on show day.
It's got to be disappointing not to have RJ here. I don't think he's missed a cup in I don't know how many years. It is a bit sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really. It's 54 years, I think he said he's first time he's missed a cup, so it's a long time, and yeah, it's disappointing, but hopefully this time next year everything's back to normal and he'll be back down here. But he was still over the moon with the way the team raced throughout the week, and the job everyone done.
And Sundees Son, I mean, what can we say about the horse? It's dead set freakish.
Unbelievable, really. To get pressure early on in the race and to keep going like he did, sort of horse of a lifetime. And it was great. Like, the pleasing thing was he got beat at the start before, but father-in-law does a lot of work with him. He drove him Wednesday 2 days out, and he said this horse is back to probably better than he ever has been. So that was great going into the race, and he raced like that, so it was great.
Well, the first mile from a stand, bang on just over 2 minutes. I mean, that's incredible. And then not only that, carries on with, I don't know, what were the quarters? Any idea, Johnny, for the last four?
Yeah, no, we're rolling. I was looking up at the big screen when we were coming around. We're getting up to 49 k's there. I thought, well, this is even early on in the race. I thought, gee, we're going a bit too quick here. But now the quarters are probably under 29 anyway, and then we went down the back in 27 and a bit. That's what Sundees Son's best at, is going down the back quick and sort of making a true staying race, and that's what he did.
And not only did you win the race, of course, you had the second place getter, Matadorus, which was another huge run. And Chief of Staff, I mean, that gave a fair bit away at the start and ran into fourth. That was an unbelievable run as well.
Yeah, Matadorus, he's the sort of horse, he's actually really stepped up. He's still a younger horse. He hasn't done much racing, especially on the grit over here anyway. He's always sort of been a grass track specialist, and so this time next year he might be able to really give me a scare. And Chief of Staff, well, that goes to you, Nigel. You've got him ready leading into the race. There's your number one drive. So, like you say, he missed away at the start and still there at the finish. Was a great effort.
It's quite unusual. You've got a few horses from convict land back over here to New Zealand. Usually we're sending them one way, but they've sent a couple back. Now, what's that about?
Yeah, just horses for courses, really. Like we won the last race with Sounds of Cash. He sort of didn't suit the Australian racing, bigger tracks over here, and probably a bit more distance than that. And she went great. And Matadorus, well, Jamie's son Jack, he said horses should bring over. They tried in Auckland, but actually didn't go all the way around. So that's how I've ended up with it down here. And yeah, he sort of, especially more stands probably. He's not really a mobile horse, gets a bit fired up. So really suits the stands down here.
Well, tell me about the rest of the guys here. You've got Craig, of course, who does lots of the shoeing with the Trotters. You've got Jenna. You've got Lacey, of course, your daughter. She drives Woodstone. Unfortunately, couldn't be at the races yesterday. Now that was tragic, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really. Never mind, it's COVID rules and that, so she can be there. But it was last race, so I was very disappointed she couldn't be there. But she drove him, the number one horse, and she drove him every track work or fast work leading into the Dominion. He's going to have a happy retirement now. He's out for good. Make her a lovely riding horse, and yeah, the rest of the team we've got great, like I said, great stuff. We've got Bluey and Cassidy, and Riley. Who else we got? We've got Craig O'Callaghan from down south. He comes up every year and helps out. For yourself, Mike. I'll probably forget a few, as I always do.
We better not forget Emily. She's there on the social media front for you.
Yeah, she's great doing that. That's a big help. What she does, like upmarking the owners and that. So
it's not a. I mean, it's for the amount of horses you've got. I don't know. To be fair, I mean.
Sorry, but we got Corbin too.
Yeah.
Don't forget Corbs.
No. And to be fair,
and Donna.
Yeah. Where are they today? These staff. You had a big night last night.
Yeah, we had a big night. Nige, and that's what it's all about, I suppose. It's been a massive week, and we let her hair down. Today's Saturday, so we let her hair down last night, as you got to do, and well, most of them are still going today, actually, so it's going to be a sad old day tomorrow for them.
It will be a sad old day for them tomorrow. So the biggest advantage out here, because this is only going to some Australians, and they won't know about things like the beach and running them down there and swimming them after their race and the recovery. I mean, just getting in that salt water has got to be a great help.
Yeah, it does. Straight line training, no bends to go around. Keeps them sound and that, and then like you say, can give them a paddle after they work. Horses really love it.
Yeah, and the future for things like Sundees Son, I don't think there's any racing for a wee while, is that right? Yeah.
No, it's not really. So turn them out now. There's a couple of races in Auckland, sort of mediocre races now. It's just the way sort of the birthdays have changed and the racing calendar's changed. So he'll go out for a spell. Love to take him to Australia, sort of in the new year, and then just see how that pans out the next few weeks, and then Auckland for the Road Cup again. So yeah, either we rest now and sort of work out things sort of over the next month or so.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Johnny. I know it's a big weekend for you and it's a big day today, and let's go and have a beer.
Yeah, have another one.
Right, now on the New Zealand show, I can safely say this, one of the loudest shirts we've ever had. Martin Peirson, welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
That is a lovely shirt. What do we call that?
Well, it's just something I threw on this morning. Like, I don't think it's particularly special, but there's been a lot of feedback, so it must have done something right.
Brightened up a few people's lives, that's for sure. Got a couple of things we're going to cover off on, because you are on the size stakes board in New Zealand. One thing I want to actually get my head around a little bit, because with talking with Cam, works a little bit differently over there, the way you guys do your size stakes. You're a little bit removed from the main governing body of harness racing New Zealand, is that correct?
Yeah, well, the Size Stakes Board, an incorporated society, been around for 45 plus years, so, a lot of time in the game. Obviously got a close relationship with Harness Racing New Zealand, make no mistake about it, but that degree of separation is not necessarily an unhealthy thing. And look, the board's been around, as I said, 45 plus years, and rightly or wrongly, probably growing stronger as it's more difficult to raise money for these aspirational races. The board and the structure we have, along with our wonderful sponsors, of course, and supported by HRNZ, we must not forget that. It's a very healthy state for the board to be in at the moment.
Yeah, that's good. It's just different because over here, for the Kiwis that may not be aware, everything is run through HRV in our sense here in Victoria, but each governing body runs their own futurity series, and they oversee it all as well, which I can gather yours do, but you have to raise the funds by the sounds as a different organisation for that, whereas ours comes out of our breeding bonuses and people pay up for futurities and things like that straight away.
Yeah, the only thing we lack is that central government support. So when we look at the Vic Breds and those sorts of things and some of the central government support you guys get, we don't. So obviously we get support from our participants. Our studs is kick it off, nominating the stallions, and we've got some good sponsors, but H&Z also are big providers of helping subsidise our Group 1 finals. But at the end of the day, there's no central government funding or government funding at all. So what we raise as industry is what we virtually pay out our stakes from.
There is a lot going on. How did you experience Cup Week? Did you get out there for a start, and how did you experience it?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get there on Cup Day because we had the Woodlands Stud final, of course. So we were there with Woodlands Stud and my board. Most of our board got here, except for our Auckland friends. Where I was, I suppose it was good in that area, but when you looked out for NWB, there was a very surreal feeling, sad to be honest. It's a great time for Canterbury with the 3 codes and, of course, the big show, and none of that was happening, of course, as per normal, so it was quite sad. We just got to hope like hell that we get through this and that next year we can get to whatever normality looks like. because without the people and the atmosphere that generates, it was quite different. But the racing was fantastic, as we saw on the track, and good to see some of our sponsors getting success. Neville, of course, co-standing Mickey, and he won the Sire Stakes final. Woodlands, of course, stand American Ideal, so he won the Trotting Cup. And then Neville Stud had their Mares Classic on show day. So great week for our sponsors and our supporters. Great racing. Who would have ever thought, Paul, would see a trotter going 3:56 for Christ's sake? Still can't quite get my head around that, but we saw it. And copy that got payback from last year, and then 2 years ago ran second in the Sire Stakes final. Albeit I backed him at $31 that day and never quite got that money back again. But he's a lovely horse, great connections, Ray Green, great result all round.
He is a great story because how old's Ray? 75? Did I see the other day?
Is he 5? Well,
75.
3, 4,
No. Ray himself. Is he 70?
Oh, Ray himself. Yeah. Oh, well, there's all sorts of ages for Ray. I've heard upwards of 75, 76. But been in the game a long time. Colourful history all around the world.
Yep.
And Lincoln Farmer's got some lovely horses coming through, but he's got his Everest, if you like, and I'm really thrilled for Ray.
Yeah, and I must say, I've got a great association with Merv Butterworth through the years, or friendship. I shouldn't say association at all. It's only a friendship. We got to know him through pre-training a lot of Grant and Kerrin's horses. We had Arden Rooney here for a long time as well. But I think he's just a great story in the way the pair of them are going about it. They're very level-headed. They say straight afterwards he's not racing show day. He won't be coming to Victoria. His main aim now is Western Australia, and they're very clear and concise with what they do with him. And I just think it's great for harness racing.
Oh, he has a bit of colour, and he's a lovely little horse, and he deserved his time in the sun, and he got his New Zealand Cup, and you can't take that off him.
No, beautiful horse. Sort of come of age about through the Queens. For a lot of the Australians, I shouldn't say come of age, but really announced himself, especially in Australia, through that Queensland Carnival just gone. I think a lot of people sat up and said, he is the real deal because of his high speed.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And look, if he could get to the front of an angle over a mile and he's in the right mood, you wouldn't know what he could run.
No, spot on. That is key. Rightio, so we've got a couple of things we want to discuss on now. One of which falls into, it's Sire Stakes payments, but how next season's going to look as well, Martin.
Yeah, well, I was just saying to you off here, but, with the change of dates, and we talked about that a little bit last time, and I'm sure Cam and those guys have spoken to you in more detail, but those dates are now locked in stone. From a Sire Stakes point of view, it's exciting. I'm taking payments now for the rising 2-year-olds. So the horses that are current yearlings, of course, whether they come from the NZB yearling sales or the homebreds. And whereas previously they pay up on the 1st of December for races in, let's say, May next year, they're now paying up for races that will finish actually in New Zealand Cup week next year. So, for example, New Zealand Cup week next year for the Sire Stakes board. On Cup Day, we'll have our Colts and Goldings fun. And on Show Day, we'll have our fillies with Dunstan horse feeds. And our trotters, of course, with Lone Star. So you're now paying up for a race that's, effectively 6 months later than what it would have normally fell. So whilst it hasn't been too busy yet because people have been experiencing Cup week in whatever capacity that is, I'm just feeling a bit of a groundswell that people have got the message. They're now paying up for horses that are going to be a lot later and more developed. And so I'm expecting our 2-year-old payments to be up. I'm also expecting the 2-year-old racing to be better next year because with them being more mature and a bit later, there should be more of them about. Bearing in mind, there used to be 3-year-olds at Cup time. So that's the message. I can't sing it loudly enough. I was a strong advocate for the birthdays, on that basis. But if you miss this payment, that's okay. You can still come in next year on July the 1st for the 3-year-old series, which will be in May 2023. So you're getting many more bites of the cherry and giving every horse that opportunity to develop and fulfill its potential.
Okay, one thing there very quickly. So if something's wrong with your horse right at the minute and you say it's not going to be around for 12 months, there can be any numerous things, an injury, paddock injury, whatever. You can miss this payment but still be eligible if you pay the 3-year-old payment in June.
July, yeah, absolutely. So we foal, nominate, and then yearling sustain. They're the critical two. Then the 2- and 3-year-old payments become voluntary if you wish. If you miss the 2-year-old, you're still invited in for 3. Even if you miss the 3, we have races for other races like the Sophomore Classic or the Mares race on show day, the Neville race, for example. But you've got to pay the first 2 A's and the B payment, I call them. But you can certainly come in. The other payment, of course, that's interesting for us now, and that's already been made for the 3-year-old fillies, rising 3-year-old fillies, the Neville series, which again used to be run and finishing in May, will now also finish on New Zealand Cup Day next year. So what an exciting time it is for the 3-year-old fillies. I've currently got the Dunstan Horse Feed Series being run. Now that's for 2-year-olds, but it's the 3-year-old division, just like the Woodlands Series the other day. So this is their Sire Stakes series. But if you're not on that at the moment, that's okay, because next year you've still got a Neverly Arm, New Zealand Oaks, Northern Oaks, etc., etc. So many more opportunities for horses spread out over a longer period of time. It just can't be bad. It's just got to be a good pull.
I can tell that New Zealanders, and you make out like you're a salesman and things like that. I've been fortunate enough. I do Trot Vision over here, and been fortunate enough to be on heat day for the Breeders' Crowns, the Trotters, the Redwood Trotters, the Derby leading up, and the likes. We're a year ahead of you guys with this change of calendar, if you like, and when it works. I promise you, it works. It is brilliant. The racing, the strength and the depth in some of these horses and how they are racing, their presentation is amazing. I love picking one out of the yard. You can't, because they just all look good this time of year. Like, whereas the depth of winter, June, July, trying to pick one out of the yard that's got 2 inches of woolly coat, the gear might be spotless, but the horse just looks like a hairy yak. Now they just look sensational. I think you guys, this time next year, will be sitting to me and saying, why haven't we done this earlier? Because it's just brilliant. I wish in Australia we'd done it earlier, because with COVID around, it makes it hard to get crowds here. But the crowds would be here watching these quality horses going around and racing at the highest level.
Oh, absolutely. And the ultimate aim is, to get better fields, which generates turnover. And at the end of the day, that's what keeps the game afloat. So that's the theory. We've still got the challenge of falling foal crops. And so that's a challenge. And that's why I encourage people now with the change of birth date, that should also encourage breeders. Everyone's heard that line that I use, and it's not a sales pitch. I breed horses myself. Every horse born in this country, if it's good enough, has now got a chance of being a classic 3-year-old. That's a fact of life. With that big day that Adam's planned on December the 2nd or 4th, we're not quite sure yet, where we're going to run, the ultimate, the derbies and the oaks for both gates. You can miss these sire stakes races. You might not be ready, blah, 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 but you could still have a derby horse. And you look at the horses that raced on Cup Day for Woodlands, those 2-year-olds, they have a New Zealand pacing derby in December next year. So imagine how many horses that weren't there in November that might be round in, say, 13 months' time. That has to excite everybody. But it does require probably a degree of patience. And people just got to head through that process, a bit more patience, a bit more time. But when the pipeline fills back up again and people have got used to this new system, I can see no negatives. And hopefully it'll also help reverse the breeding trend, which is heading in the wrong direction.
Well, here in Australia, again, we're a year ahead. Ours definitely did increase because of that fact. There's a lot of factors involved in that. We have different bonus schemes and the likes, but it's just interesting that it coincides with where, as I said, 1 year further advanced than you guys are with this. And our last breeding season, we had over 5,000 horses bred in Victoria alone. So that was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's the hope here. Of course, COVID's sort of slowed everyone's down a little bit in their thinking. But if people can look past COVID a little bit, as hard as that is, it's easy for me to say that, but we're all affected by COVID in one way or another. But at the end of the day, we've now provided a platform to breed a horse, because like I'll say it again, every horse has got the potential to be a classic horse, even if it is at the end of its 3-year-old year, which at the moment is not the case.
No, and they get longer. And even breeding-wise, but it'd be one of those interesting ones. I should talk to one of the guys in the south, because over here there were still horses being bred in late January, early February last year, because effectively they've got 4 months longer to race, so people aren't worried about going that little bit longer. Can be a bit tricky here in Australia, especially where I live, because it can get very hot. But I would imagine the South Island, it possibly would be very appealing to them.
Oh yeah, everyone wants the early foal. That's just a fact of life, because an early foal is still going to be an early foal. But I know myself, talking to the studs, I will go a bit longer with the mares on the basis they've got a chance to catch up. So they'll never catch up to an August foal numerically, I get that. But it's genuinely got a chance to be a late 3-year-old and therefore a classic horse. Yep. And in New Zealand, and I know I'm not agreeing or anything, but I can see how the weather patterns have changed. Like I was driving to work just this morning thinking how green it is. When I was a kid, Canterbury used to be burnt off at cup time. So the weather has moved probably 3 to 4 weeks in my short life, if you like. So it is getting us the more fertile time to breed those mares. And nature, you can't stuff around with nature. We can try, but at the end of the day, Mother Nature rules, and you've got to roll with her. So this birth date change supports that as well. Yep,
and it is only better for racing. What else have you got going on, Martin? I'm sure you've got plenty else going on.
Oh, absolutely. So like I said, the Woodlands series concluded on Cup Day. We've got a constellation hopefully on the 26th. The Dunstan Horse Feed series started at Ashburton last Thursday, with True Fantasy winning that from Remember Me, who's of course the daughter of Adore Me. Yep. We've got a Dunstan heat this week at Alexandra Park. Before that final, we've got 4 heats in total, and that final's on December the 31st. Taking the 2-year-old payments, as you just pointed out. We had our board meeting last week, which is always good to catch up with the full board and to see how we're going, and some of the initiatives that board is looking at is always, keeping the product fresh and vibrant. One of the things that we've agreed on for next year is a 2-year-old trotting fillies classique. So 3-4 years ago, we introduced a 3-year-old trotting fillies classique, and now this year we're going to have a 2-year-old one, or next year rather. So that's to encourage those trotting breeders and to have more standalone fillies races. So that's one of the initiatives coming forward next year. Renewing sponsorships, of course. We know how important our sponsors are, renewing those. The calendar again. So you think about that next year for Woodlands and Neverly, for example, two of our biggest sponsors, if you wish, to have their finals both on Cup Day. Got to be great for their businesses as well. So look, just trying to join the dots. Everyone knows me. It's all about the full circle. No one person is more important than the other. And so enjoy doing that. Then we'll get a bit of a break over Christmas once the 31st is out of the way. And then, of course, building up to the Harness Million Series on the 12th of February for the New Zealand Standardbred before their Karaka yearling sale. And I've also got 4 yearlings myself in the crochet sale down here. So we're sort of nervously looking at COVID and whether we can get our Australian friends across. Because much as online bidding is a wonderful thing, you can't beat having people in the ring, seeing the horse and saying, have a look at that one. And you bid, you buy.
Yeah, and I think Campbell alluded that the catalogues aren't far off going to print, so hopefully they'll be out shortly, which is key. But yeah, I think getting people over there is key, but that's well and truly out of your hand. You said you bred 4 this year, trotters, paces. What do you breed, mate?
Oh, I bred a bit of both. I actually bred my first trotter this year. So first foal this year was actually a What the Hill colt out of a nice mere half sister temporarily. So a nice trotting colt, and I had a Captain Crunch colt over the weekend. There's another 5 foals due, and like I said, from the yearlings, there's 4 yearlings going forward to the NZB sale in February next year. So yeah, busy old time. Looking forward to that. The sale is always a nervous time. You spend 2.5 years to get 90 seconds in the ring, and your mates will say, "Why do you do it?" And you think, "Well, I don't really know, to be honest." But I've also bred one to race, so I'm quite excited. I bred the only Luck Be With You in New Zealand, and I'm quite excited about that actually. It's a wee pet project I've got, and the mare had a lovely coat, so that's one I'll keep, and I'm going to win the kindergarten stakes in 2023.
So why did you breed one to race? Which is a good thing, especially in New Zealand, but why did you breed?
I breed them all to race if I could afford it, but the reality is I can't, so you breed to sell, and invariably the money you get goes back into service fees. But I enjoy racing horses, so I had a nice Sun Beach mare, half sister to Herrick Roosevelt, which we'd sold to Gary Hall and did a good job over there. And I picked out Luck Be With You on pedigree, and I thought it'd be a nice match. And she got in foal, frozen semen, and left a nice colt. And so it's one that wouldn't be commercial.
Yep.
The New Zealand buyers will not touch unproven size, so they certainly won't try Luck Be With You. They wouldn't even know who he is, to be fair. So he's a nice colt, and I'll keep him to race, and we're going to aim him for the kindergarten. It's a wee way away. It's a long-term plan, but you've got to have plans.
Got to have dreams. Like when you got up in the morning, I'm sure you dreamt that someone's going to say that's a lovely shirt.
Oh, well, it is a lovely shirt, to be fair.
Martin, thank you very much for joining me. Well done. I love your enthusiasm, and I love what New Zealand are doing and getting on board. I can promise the Kiwis watching it, once you get into this new season next year, you're going to really love it, especially from now on, and especially if COVID's gone, where you can start getting crowds to be able to attract new owners and things. And you've got to realise what I'm saying here in Australia. Although we've had crowds for a week or two at Maryborough, they couldn't have got within 200 metres of the parade ring. The first they saw of the horses was when they were with 100 to go up the straight. So we're still similar to you guys. We've got small crowds, very small crowds, but hopefully that is changing very shortly. But it's not that part that makes it so much better. It's the racing product and then the flow on from that.
No, thanks, Paul. And look, I'd like to thank you too. Like I watch as many of your broadcasts as I can. Been lucky enough to be spoken to a couple of times, but just the ability that you have to support everybody. And I'm very much a one industry person like yourself. I wish we could be more collaborative between New Zealand and Australia. We've got a fairly small industry, to be fair, and if we could just join hands and work together, it'd be better for us all. So you're a strong part of that, and certainly I know there's a number of people down in this part of the world that would support their concept as well. So thank you for your support and the opportunity to come onto your show once in a while.
No worries at all, Martin. Thank you. We could be very negative. We could highlight some of the things that have been said in the last week or two. I ain't about that. I'm about promoting this sport, and it's a great sport. So thank you very much. And I think you should get Campbell in one of those shirts. But thanks for joining me, Martin.
Thanks, Paul. Bye-bye, mate.